Guys, we just saw the best Marvel movie ever.
Ever.
I know it can seem like we say that every time we walk out of a Marvel movie.
Because we do.
But it's true. This is the best Marvel movie ever. And Disney only paid us $50 to say that. And
for the both of us.
The both of us.
$25 each.
5 went to parking, but it was worth it.
I only got 20.
Well, you're white. We saw Ant-Man and the Wasp, people.
Guy and the Wisp.
I'm sure you guys already got a bunch of reviews. 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, didn't you? We're late to the game because I wanted to digest this movie. Let's go into it. As I'm sure you've heard a lot of people say this. We're not going to do any spoilers. We don't want to spoil anything for you. We'll do a spoiler review later. We're not going to spoil anything. I'm just going to tell you guys the ending right away in the post-credits. It'll ruin your life.
Thanos shows up and just steps on Scott Lang.
It's a really sad moment. Well, the reason why I wouldn't want to do anything spoiler at all is because of the fact that the trailers don't actually reveal the main plot. Maybe there's like a TV spot or something that hints at it. The main plot of the movie is not touched on in the official trailers for this film. So I don't feel right going into it. What I can tell you guys is this. What do you expect when you watch the trailers for this movie? You're expecting a film that is going to be funny and perhaps funnier than the first Ant-Man and has better action sequences and
more
the
clever.
fact yes, that is a big key word here is clever. This film is very clever.
Clever girl.
And the fact that Peyton Reed was kind of brought in a little last minute for the first Ant-Man and is now doing this with a lot more prep time, you're expecting a better directed film. And this film delivers on all 3 of those elements. It's very funny. It's funnier than the first. Got to give it that.
Yeah.
It's very clever. The action is much better. And the direction overall is just a much more confident direction.
Yeah, I feel like this film overall just finds the perfect blend of its tones for the most part and uses all of its pieces to the utmost degree, whereas like in the first one there are things that could have been a little smoother and whatnot.
This one has a lot more style to its world. I liked it a lot.
I like it a lot.
I liked it a hell of a lot. I don't love this film. I don't want that to communicate as if I even have issues with the movie, because whatever criticisms I go into with the film, it's not like they're flawed. It's just there's some stuff that has limited emotional effect when I feel they want it to have more impact, if that makes sense. It's really just the way my emotions responded to certain things, like stakes, certain characters in the movie. But what you primarily show up for is great. That's the thing.
Yeah,
what you primarily show up for is really good.
It's like there are a couple minor complaints I would have, like certain transitions feel a bit quick, or certain things you wish got maybe a little bit more fleshed out. But other than that, like just the idea of everything that's going on, the main course of action, and the use of pretty much all the characters really satisfied me.
True. I rewatched the first Ant-Man a couple days ago, and I'm glad I did. What I found fascinating about this movie is, yes, there are sequels in the MCU. There is an Iron Man 2. There is a Thor: The Dark World. There's a Captain America: Winter Soldier. There's an argument to be made for Iron Man 2, but usually the sequels don't feel as direct of a sequel to the prior one. This one is essentially continuing the same story that happened in the first Ant-Man.
With some Civil War context mixed in.
Yeah, you know. yeah, definitely. But even that, they do a good job of recapping. They do a good job of recapping that in a way where if you didn't see Civil War, you'll be fine. They really treated this in a sense of what are the elements that we teased at the end of the first Ant-Man, and how can we continue this same story? What is the most natural progression?
I appreciated that a lot, actually, especially coming after Infinity War, because this movie has a lot of levity.
Same weight. Oh, yeah, a lot of levity.
Same weight, definitely. It's really dark. Yeah, it's got a lot of levity, but also I like the way its world feels a bit more contained. It's like having it directly connect to the first Ant-Man makes the Ant-Man movies kind of feel like their own little bubble.
Yeah.
And not so much like the whole entire universe, you know, which is a nice change of pace.
Yeah, it is a nice change of pace, especially because it's not just Infinity War. I mean, Black Panther was like major
globe
stakes, and
spanning
then there was
and-
Ragnarok with major
Major stakes, yeah.
And here there's major stakes for
They're very personal.
Yeah, they're major stakes for the characters, so they're very personal stakes. I think the issue that I tend to find when I look back on it is by the time you get to the finale, there are so many plot lines going
There's
on.
a lot happening.
And they all have their own sense of stakes. They all make for fun adventures, and they make for fun action sequences and some very clever sequences. But there's emotional effect where I'm like, I'm not really feeling the stakes because there's so much going on.
Yeah, you kind of wish that certain people, especially certain of the more antagonisty type characters, maybe got a little more flesh for their stories so that we could care completely.
Or even
but...
trimmed. There's one storyline that I felt was not necessary. Made for cool sequences, but I didn't find it 100% necessary. The wall.
I wish I was Ant-Man right now so I could, like, zip over there on top
Right
of
into that dog's mouth and just blow.
That's one way to solve that problem.
The Walton Goggins storyline actually provided some of the best action moments in this film.
Totally.
But when I look back on it, it kind of contributes to the feeling of there's a lot going on, and if they cut him out and put some of those plot elements with the other characters, this could have been even more personal and more effective. With that being said, Walton Goggins delivers a good performance. Wasp. The best part of this movie.
Wasp's awesome, man.
Wasp was awesome. Where it picks up with Hope Van Dyne in this film is a supernatural progression. Not a supernatural, but a natural progression from where the first Ant-Man left off. With her character specifically. I'm glad she's got longer hair because I hate her hair in the first one. And she looks so much better here. She kicks some serious ass. And I even like their chemistry between Paul Rudd and her even more in this film. There's some really surprising sequences. Like there's a surprise scene where her and Ant-Man are doing it, and then as they're doing it, they get covered in ants.
Yeah.
And they're just making love with covered in ants the whole time.
And in the post-credits thing, they actually hint that they're going to have like a hybrid ant-human baby.
Yeah.
You know, because the quantum realm and the ants and stuff like that, and the different radiations and everything. Like,
that's not in the film. Similar to Ant-Man 1, where the real heart of the movie is not with its lead, Scott Lang. It's with the story of
Hank Pym
and Hope Van Dyne. Yeah. And this film especially, though, it starts off in a way where, okay, this is another Scott Lang tale. And it is one of his stories.
It's an adventure he is along for.
But by the time you're like halfway through this movie, you're like, oh, this is really a Hope Van Dyne and Hank Pym story, isn't it? Yeah. Totally. He starts to feel like a real supporting character when he is the title character. It's like, yes, it says and the Wasp in it.
Yeah.
But even more so in this movie than the last one, he feels a lot more like a supporting character. He's good, though. He's funnier in this movie.
The comedy overall, I thought, worked a lot better and jived with the overall tone a lot more in this movie. Like, I like the comedy in the first one, but there are a lot of moments where it felt like they just inserted a joke, and especially, like, the banter. Like, the first movie, the situational comedy always worked, but in this one, the banter also
The banter's great in it. And the Ghost character, the villain teased in the trailers, I'm very mixed on. I love the concept of her, and I love the ideas, and the effects of her are cool. The awesome phasing effects that you see in the trailer are really cool. It's just, they had these plot elements to her that are supposed to make her feel a lot more layered, but the execution on the writing doesn't give her much to do with the performance, so you kind of get a one-note performance when what they talk about, the information they give on her, allows for a more layered character, something along the lines of a Killmonger.
It's a good idea. It's a good story point, but yeah, you don't really get to spend a lot of time in her shoes.
You don't get to
identify
feel
with
it
her
when the movie wants you to feel it. I could tell the movie wants you to.
Yeah, and I thought Hannah John Kamen like did a good job. Like I liked what she brought, but again, I'm totally with you. It's like I feel like if she just had a little bit more variety in the types of moments they let her play, that might have helped this movie. But that being said, the overall idea of what they did with that character, I was actually surprised by and I actually really liked. I could see that being something that might improve in the future.
For this one, especially towards like the last half hour, she started to feel kind of annoying in terms of what she was there for in the plot.
You put it the best when you said it feels like she's getting in the way for most of it.
Yeah. She's not the main focus of the film.
No.
She's one of several, but the main focus, she starts to feel like you're interfering with the main part of this.
We gotta get this.
I'm like, I know that's the point of her. She's a threat. It has a limited effect. We also get a cool performance from Lawrence Fishburne in here, who plays a character who was once Goliath in the comic books.
Yeah, 21 feet tall.
I don't want to give away what they do with this character in this movie was more than just Lawrence Fishburne's here for a scene, you know?
Yeah,
He's
more
an
than
actual,
he's been doing in a lot of movies lately.
He's an actual character in this movie.
Yeah.
And so it was nice to have him here. A surprise role that I wasn't expecting to be used so much was a new addition of Randall Park.
Yeah, as like an FBI agent.
He does his Randall Park thing,
Yeah.
but he's so funny in
He's
it.
hilarious.
He's hilarious in it. And Michael Pena is hilarious
He's so
as
funny.
usual. Even the team, the supporting players, T.I.
and David Dastmalchian, who gets a particularly funny gag in this movie.
like I remember thinking though, like Michael Pena was funny, but the other two weren't that funny.
Yeah.
They're all funny. Like
Yeah.
they're all funny in this one.
Yeah, they all get a chance to shine in this movie. The main cast and the supporting cast both, I thought, really all got moments. Like Scott's family, like Judy Greer and Bobby Cannavale only show up like once or twice, but
Yeah.
they're even leaving impressions when they get there.
Yeah, and Michael Douglas is really cool in the film too. Do we like him now? Do we hate him? What's going on,
I
Michael
don't
Douglas?
know.
Yeah.
There was that whole thing where we thought he was sick, so maybe that sort of blunted the
Yeah,
force
I'm
of...
like, are we cool with him? Either way, I don't really know the details of his personal life with that whole assault story. I do think that he does a great job in the film, and I wasn't watching it thinking of that. You know, to me, he was the best performer of the last one, and he carries that same level of commitment and strength in this film as well. So yeah, I think the cast is really good. It's funnier than the first one. It's better action.
And it has a better grip on just its imagination, like really making use of the Ant-Man and the Wasp shrinking and growing up and quantum realm elements.
And even though the trailers tease almost every scene in this movie,
Every major plot line,
but there's still a lot of big surprises in terms of clever sequences and really clever bits. We'll talk about in the spoiler review.
Yeah.
But there's some really, truly like, wow, it's like great effects too. So,
Yeah, totally.
I like it a lot. Keep a lookout for a spoiler review. I would give it like a solid 3.75 out of 5.
Fair. There are things that could be better, but just as an enjoyable installment of this franchise, it improves upon the first. It's a blast.
It's a fun adventure
bright.
flick, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a nice scope to give some variety to the MCU right now. Hey, what would you do if you could shrink down to ant size? You know, would you do ant stuff? Would you do something perverted? Probably. I guess that's probably what people would do. But leave your feedback in the comments.
Subscribe to The
below.
Real Rejects. Click that notification bell and check us out on Patreon. Full-length TV show reactions, weekly Q&As. We'd love to have you become a Patreon today. Bye.